Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bonnie Barclay. I'm the owner of Creekside Counseling and Wellness, and I'm jumping back on here today to finish up the Attitude of Gratitude series today. And so today we're going to be talking a little bit about being thankful for and finding peace in your body and with food. And I really wanted to bring this up both. I jumped on last week to talk about food and Thanksgiving, but as we go into the rest of the holidays, I think it can just be such an emotionally laden time for people. I wanted to try and dig in a little bit deeper about this. And we've been talking all month about attitude of gratitude. And November is such a great time to do that, to reflect on all the things that we're thankful for and grateful for in our lives. And I wanted to ask the question today, what about our bodies? And again, this can be such a hot button. When we talked about Thanksgiving and intuitive eating last week a little bit, it's about ending this war that I think we can get into with our body and learning to accept our own genetic blueprint and how diverse that genetic blueprint is from person to person. To really step back into our bodies intuitively, listening to and honoring our needs, making peace with, and even learning to be grateful for our own unique body. When we were little, we were naturally born to eat and manage that process. And being more intuitive and reconnecting with our body is tapping back into that innate ability. When we were young, we ate when we were hungry and we stopped when we were full. To do this, we need to challenge the larger culture's focus on the thin ideal that body being our body, other than a thin one, is wrong. Now, listen, this does not mean I don't struggle. I really believe we all do if we're honest. There are a few improvements I need or want to make, however you want to say that, related to my own body and my overall lifestyle. And that really is okay to strive for excellence in terms of our health and our body rather than hustling for worth or hustling towards perfection, which is unhealthy. So it's okay if my best interest is guiding my goals and expectations. So I have high cholesterol. That's part of my genetic blueprint. I use my doctor as my supportive guide, not the larger culture, working hard to stay away from good and bad foods as I learn how to fuel my body and prioritize movement and really optimizing my own health. Your PCP or primary care physician should be your partner on the journey of a healthy life. This is not always the case, though. I literally had a client come in and share with me her struggle with emotional eating and weight, and shared with me, crying throughout her story, that her primary care physician, a female, I might add, told her that her solution to her emotional eating and weight problem was just to put the fork down. That her weight was just simply that easy to manage. Guys, I can't even. Sitting in that shame with her, the self blame, her brokenness was heartbreaking because she took it on. It actually took her a while for her to transfer her care, to feel like she deserved better care. Just like Gottman's negative sentiment override can damage our dating or marital relationships or any other relationship for that matter, it can damage our relationship with ourselves, our bodies. I find that the more you focus on the positive, the easier it is to stick with healthy habits that help you feel good about yourself. And don't you think that you should define what that is for yourself? To shift into the positive, start by just noticing what your body is doing for you. Think about it, head to toe. How often do you take a moment to be thankful for your body and all the amazing things that it does and can do for you? The your being the key word here. If this concept is new, start with more neutral areas of your body. I briefly talked about this in the live last week that, especially for trauma survivors, being disconnected from your body is a coping survival skill. And so tapping back into your body needs to be done so with care and sometimes even support and help. So if you start small in these more neutral areas, think about eyes, hands, feet. If your mouth becomes a trigger, break it down. How does your smile, for example, help you engage in relationships in a positive way? Remember, small stuff often. How can you begin to make this noticing part of your everyday practice? When we get into this ideal and we get into comparison, it can fuel shame and other negative emotions. And of course, some of this is going to come up, guaranteed. I talked about this in the Facing Fear series, where we're wired to avoid negative emotions, fear. Another strategy is to seek to control, fix, solve, do something about it. Can you see how all this can leave you vulnerable to the marketing strategies associated with the diet culture and even get into disordered eating? So I have 2 children. They're both now in college. Anybody who's following this knows that and probably knows they're swimming and all the things. And comments about their bodies started as young as 8 years old for my daughter and around 11 or 12 years old for my son. And today I want to share a little bit about my daughter's story, and I did get her permission to share a little bit about that journey starting at 8 years old for her. And navigating this as a parent can be emotionally triggering. That whole mama bear thing. And I was glad when this came up that I had some emotion regulation skills for sure. I addressed it with her gymnastics coach at the time. I do acknowledge there were some cultural influences that were also probably at play here, but setting clear boundaries about what was okay and not okay became really important regardless. So this is what happened. This is her story. I walked in and found my daughter in the bathroom with her hand on her stomach, looking in the mirror. And I greeted her like, "Hey, what's going on?" And she said, "Mommy, do you think my belly is too big?" And I said, "Well, no, baby, why would you? Do you think your belly is too big?" And we engaged in this dialogue about her body. And what came out of that experience is that she was told by her coach at the time that she did not recommend her eating her snack before gymnastics, which was a several-hour practice following school. And she would oftentimes not get home until later after the normal dinner time. And her coach went on to say that by eating, it made her belly poke out, and her belly was bigger when she ate. And my daughter became concerned about this. So when she shared this experience for me, the next day at practice, I pulled off my shoes and walked out onto the gymnastics mat and very calmly but very directly talked about what words were okay and what words were not okay in terms of defining my daughter's body. If the coach needed her to, really take in that core strength, certain things using strong upper body, a positioning mechanics thing, that was acceptable in her job as a coach. But what was not acceptable was to use words like fat, too big, nor was it her role to tell my daughter what was okay to eat and was not okay to eat. And I'll talk about this a little bit more later, but I think watching for these signs that our children can get in trouble at a very young age when they're whirling this in their mind and looking around at what the expectations are, and they're getting these influences. I did monitor the situation. To my knowledge, those conversations did not happen again. And yes, my daughter ate her snack every day after school, after not having any food for hours, and really provided education, support, and how to be healthy and fuel your body when you're working it as hard as you're working it. Little did the two of us know, me or my daughter, that a year later she would be diagnosed with a hip disease, starting another battle with her body about what it could and could not do. There was grief and hard emotions, and a direction that she had to take where she had to move towards acceptance and redefining what her body could and could not do. And this was the start of my daughter getting in the water, because she was not allowed to do anything with impact from the second grade to the eighth grade. So there's so many different battles we can have with our bodies. Cancer, broken bones, so many more things our bodies can and cannot do, again related to life and genetics and all the things. If you're a parent, set the tone early for the culture that you want in your home, being ready to support your children in trying to navigate this, not just during the holidays, but all year long, throughout their development. Notice early warning signs that your child might be struggling. Comments, his or her relationship with food, avoiding certain foods, beginning to define them as good or bad, changing what they will or will not wear, hiding their body. If you personally, as a parent, struggle in this area, raising your children and navigating this can be triggering. Parenting is a difficult task on a good day. It's the hardest job I've had and the most rewarding. But take care of yourself and get support if you need it to navigate this effectively for yourself and your children and your larger family. For some, this is not just difficult, but it really can become a life or death issue from a physical, medical, and or mental health aspect. Healing is not linear. Listen, I like a checklist just like the next person. Okay, grief, all right, sadness, check. Bargaining, check. Whatever, check. I'm done with that. But it's not linear. It's more of a spiral up, maybe some regression, up again. If you are interested in learning to have a more loving and compassionate relationship with yourself, get support. There are some resources just online. You can check out Kristen Neff, Neff, and Christopher Germer's work on mindful self-compassion. This can be powerful work, so please allow yourself the supportive therapy if you need it as you navigate these waters. And so here are some questions to get started when you think about just that reconnection process and that more positive attitude towards your body. In what ways has my body been there for me? In what ways has my body allowed me to do the things that I love the most? In what ways has my body helped facilitate some of my most important relationships in my life? Like my smile has helped me meet new friends. My eyes have helped me see the true nature of the people who are closest to me. My hands have allowed me to greet important personal and professional contacts, for example. How has my body taught me about the power of healing? The body is amazing. We recover from illnesses, broken bones, cuts heal. The day before my 13th birthday, I used to ride hunters and jumpers, and I had a terrible riding accident and was in a body cast. Broke my hip and pelvis. The body is amazing, and it heals. And I have been able to do a lot of amazing things through that healing process. How can you begin observing your body's powers of self healing and allow it to inspire you to focus on your health and healing in a more compassionate and loving way? How can you begin to listen to your body, letting it teach you about making good choices and how powerful that can be? Everything in life is a choice. You can choose to eat healthy foods or you can choose less healthy items. And there's no good and bad, but it's about making those choices out of values and health and positive regard for yourself. You can choose to stay active or you can choose to be sedentary. Learning to listen to your body and your body's needs and make good choices for it, gosh, it becomes so expansive. Most begin to make other good choices in their lives. As your health improves, so does your sense of freedom, peace, and happiness. We want you to define those expectations for yourself rather than the larger culture that doesn't take into consideration your unique needs and your unique body type and genetic blueprint. When you release yourself from the expectations of the diet culture and move towards the needs of your body, you allow different feelings to exist in a mindful way without judgment, and everything will begin to shift. This is a practice, one that can be formal or informal, depending on how much time you choose to dedicate. It's one that I'm beginning to make more of a formal practice in my own life, both inspired by my clients day to day, incorporating this self-compassion more and more into my therapy work, seeing how my clients are using this to enhance their therapy work with me, and a dear friend and colleague of mine who is incorporating this in an inspiring way for herself, her clients, and others. So I personally am digging into the work of Neff and Germer and the brain science behind it. So I want to address one important myth around mindfulness and meditation that I think is really important, especially in this area. This is not a religion. It's not about becoming Buddhist. As a matter of fact, I personally find those who are deep in this practice are the most open and welcoming group to all kinds of people. They are not trying to convert anyone. This is about self-awareness. It is not a religion. You can bring your faith and religion into this process as you should, but that's not what it is. I once had a pastor say something to someone about doing yoga, about doing mindfulness, that it was going to open them up to Satan, to darkness, to other things. And I disagree. And the science is backing it. So here's the hard truth for today. The staggering truth is that the diet industry is a 60 billion per year industry with a 95% failure rate. You lose weight, but the research shows that most are unable to maintain it without that diet on board because it is a lifestyle issue overall, and it is a diet culture issue and all the things we've just been talking about. Guys, this is not my opinion. It is a researched, evidence-based truth. They are making this kind of profit on selling you something that has zero evidence of being effective in the long term. They are using stigma, society's obsession with beauty, youth, thinness, and all our shame and self-blame to profit. Look, I like things, earrings, makeup. I like it. I'm not saying that there's not benefit to feeling beautiful and good about yourself. Again, it's choose to or have to out of stress, anxiety, comparison, shame, all the things. I want you to invest wisely, invest in you, not a net 95% failure rate. So here's your challenge for the week. Explore for yourself a new health and wellness paradigm that is health at every size. What is healthy for you? Your genetic blueprint. Learn to appreciate your body for everything it can do instead of what it can't. At Creekside, we deal with body issues around trauma every day. If your healing journey moves outside the scope of our practice, we have other colleagues as resources, therapists that specialize in this at a deeper level, nutritionists who are specifically trained to partner with you in this healing journey with food in your body. Trying to find supports can be overwhelming. We are here to help. I am here to help if you need those resources. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, either live right now or catching the video later. In December, I'm going to be starting a new series that is going to be called 'Tis the Season to Be Jolly or Not. And we'll be unpacking some things about coping and grief and boundaries and all the things during the holiday season. Have a good one. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya. Bye.